Are politics and Christianity mutually exclusive? Let's talk about it. This is Bite Size Theology. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bite Size Theology, a ministry of Springfield First, where we tackle big topics around faith, one bite at a time. I'm your host, Allison Means, and today I am joined by Roger Grimmett, and we are going to talk about politics and Christianity, a big, sensitive subject for a lot of people.
Absolutely, especially this time of the year.
Oh yeah, in an election year,
Yes.
We're not far out from it, so it is a hot topic right now for a lot of people, and something that I think we run into a lot of times as Christians are people who think that maybe they shouldn't be involved or just not be involved in politics in any way because they feel really strongly about, Jesus is the person that we're following and who we're modeling, which we absolutely are. But yeah, so that begs the question, can you be involved in politics or activism or anything like that as a Christian?
Oh, I think so, Allison. In fact, thank you for having me on. And I think everything begins first with God. Theology takes precedence over politics. Theology is about our study of God. And from our study of God and our theology, we derive our calling and our mission. And part of our calling and mission is to be involved in the world. We're to be involved in politics. And we're not to allow politics to consume our life. That's a part of our calling as Christ followers. When we take up our cross and follow Jesus, we want to make a difference in the world. And one of the ways that we can make a difference in the world is by being involved in the world. And I believe in that.
That makes total sense to me. Especially, I really like the way, you said that we have God is first there, right? Our identity first.
That's right.
Is as Christians, as Christ followers, children of God. And that second, that flows out, any political involvement flows out of our identity there.
Absolutely.
And wanting to make the world better and introduce people to Jesus and the gospel message.
Right.
I really like that, but I do think that those two things are really kind of held in tension.
They are.
Because for a lot of people, politics can become a pretty big idol.
It really can, Allison, and I think the rub for a lot of Christians is the reason why they try to separate their politics from theology is because they're afraid of what other people are going to think if they espouse a certain view that others don't agree with. And so rather than speaking out against injustice, like we're called to an oppression, they'd rather be silent than to risk offending somebody. But the way I look at the Bible, Jesus offended people. Through the cost of discipleship, there's a cost involved. And sometimes we have to take a risk. And that is not to say that we're right all the time. In fact, I disdain people that believe that they have to be right at all costs and that you must view things like they do. I don't believe that that's the gospel. I don't believe that that's the call of God on our lives.
Yeah. Well, I think when it comes to, having differing opinions with other people, one of the biggest things that we have to keep in mind is that we are called to love.
Absolutely.
And you can disagree with someone and still respect them and still love them and still be their friend. And I think that in the political climate of the United States, that has been really lost in a lot of ways, which is really sad.
It is sad, Allison, and I totally agree with that. People don't want to, or they're unwilling to sit down with people that hold differing views. And so then that's what keeps us apart.
Right.
And the enemy wants to keep us apart. So what we have to do in terms of getting involved is, I believe that as Christ followers, we have to seek out other people who look at social issues differently than we do, and sit down, go to lunch, have coffee with them, whatever it is, to have a conversation. And Allison, I think that's what's great about Springfield First, is that we attempt to hold everything together in tension, but our focus is not on politics.
Oh, yeah.
Our focus is on Jesus. The church's one foundation is Jesus Christ, her Lord. It's not the Democratic Party, it's not the Republican Party, it's Jesus.
Yeah. I would venture to say if your church, if your pastor is getting up on stage and telling you who to vote for, you should rethink what church you're going to.
Absolutely, because I think we're all intelligent, smart people, and we can figure things out on our own through discernment, through our relationship with God, our counsel with others. We can be in the same room with people that look at things differently than we do, and that's how we're challenged. That's how we grow. There are people in the church that I pastor here that don't look at things the same way I do. I don't necessarily look at things the same way they do, but that's okay because our focus is Jesus.
Right. Yeah. When your identity first is who you are in God, who you are through Christ, then all of those other things have to be, multiple steps below that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I think that being involved, in your community is important.
Yes.
Because, like you said, we are called to be out in the world.
Love that.
How can you seek and save the lost if you never leave the church building?
Absolutely.
We are called to go out into the world.
Right.
And, being involved in your community in, activism and things like that is important, because then what's important to your community.
Absolutely.
And where you can minister to them and meet them. And when you recognize injustice and oppression, like you said, we are directly instructed in the Bible that we should oppose those things. So I don't think you can exist totally outside of those as a Christian and just not engage.
I agree. And I think, we've seen recent examples, Allison, in our own Springfield community of injustice that's been done.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that as Christians, it's not so much that we don't want to be involved. It's that many times we're not sure how to be involved. And I think that is the discerning part, is how we can be involved in a way to be what's been said, a non-anxious presence in the midst of great anxiety and chaos. And we can be a calming presence. But that's not to say that we are to shelter back. I think we are to engage, like you said, in our community and stand with people that feel as if injustice has been done to them or have been oppressed. Yeah.
I really like that, the idea of the Christians and the church as a calming presence.
Yes.
Jesus is the Prince of Peace.
Absolutely.
And what a great way to minister to people who are dealing with really upsetting things, but to just be there and hear what they have to say. That's, Roger, something that I really admire about you is that you do seek out people who have differing opinions from you and spend time with them and really want to hear them and understand where they're coming from. And I just wanted to tell you that I really admire that, because you are walking the walk.
Well, I'm trying, and I feel like that it's been a journey, Allison, like you said, for me over the last couple of years, where with tensions high, not only in the community, but in the denomination that we are a part of, I felt like I needed to model it in a practical way within my church, within our church, and to seek people out and have conversation, because, as you know, Allison, because you do it well yourself, when you sit down with someone that thinks things differently than you and looks at issues maybe differently, that you come away with a renewed understanding and appreciation for who they are, and you figure that you have more in common than you do not in common when you leave that meeting. And I feel like I go into meetings like that where I'm not attempting to change anybody's mind. I'm just going there to love people, like you said earlier, that we're called to do.
I love that.
So, yep.
Well, there's so much more we can say about this, but it's just a bite-sized theology. So thank you for joining me today, Roger.
Yes, I love it. Thank you.
We'll see you later. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Bite Size Theology, where we take big ideas about faith and break them down one bite at a time. We hope today's conversation has helped you grow in your understanding and sparked new insights on your journey of faith. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review. And as always, if you have questions or you want to dive deeper into today's topic, feel free to reach out. We would love to hear from you. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep growing.